Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Progress Report this Wednesday, June 22nd, second day of summer. Feels like summer's flying by, but it only just started. That's a kind of a funny feeling. But as you can see, I am not Bob Backus. Bob Backus is once again on the road on his national listening tour. But who knows? He may call in. We'll see. But I'm your co-host. For Bob tonight, Mike Farley, and we have a great guest with us, and that's Pat Long, Alderman, State Representative, bon vivant, man about town.
Hello.
Volunteer of the Year, Pat Long. And what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of, you remember that class? People don't have social studies in high school anymore, do they? But,
yeah.
You know, every now and then in your social studies class, instead of learning about government and voting and all the stuff that people don't know about anymore, we'd have current events day, and we're going to kind of do a current events day today. So we invite folks to call in 603-640-3091. We would love it if you could help us move the program along, but we've got plenty to talk about. So Pat, usually we start the show asking the guest to tell us a little bit about yourself, but we know you, Pat. I think you're the most popular guest on the show. You've been here more, I think, than any other guest.
Thank you
for that.
I keep myself busy.
You sure do.
Tomorrow we do the county budget, so the state slowed down. May 26th was the last House session. The city, we got the budget through, and now at the
this
county,
is at the county level, and
then we get into July.
And then election season.
Campaigning. You got it. Campaigning for state rep. Yeah.
So, listen, a lot has been happening, but, as you know, here at the Progress Report, we like to talk about the good things that have been happening.
Sure.
And there's a program that was reported out in the Union Leader today called FAST,
Yeah.
P-H-A-S-T,
Yeah.
and I was really, really excited to see that. It's an outreach program of the city. And it's kind of goes, as they say in the Union Leader headline, it goes beyond public health, but actually this is the kind of response team that everybody was talking about a year ago and 2 years ago.
Correct.
When they were using that cockamamie phrase, defund the police.
Right.
That
Yeah.
craziest slogan I've ever seen in my life, because that wasn't the point. The point was to convert the response system so that
Correct.
you're not coming to people in crisis who need help with guns. You're sending the guns where there's violence. And
No, exactly. And that was the premise of the program. It's called Public Health and Safety Team.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
And what it is the police have high response. They're responding to things that they ought not be responding to.
Wellness
because
checks.
it's not.
I was amazed to see in the
exactly.
paper how many wellness checks.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a person multilingual. They're all multilingual. They have in each ward. We have one in each ward.
That is the thing that I thought was really remarkable about it. That it's
it's
actually
every ward.
geographic.
Yeah.
It's not like a central location, and someone who lives out like in Ward 12 up there.
Right.
The response time might be a long time. You have someone in the ward knows every street in the ward, probably knows
That's right.
a lot of the people,
lives
knows
in a
the
ward.
community.
Lives in a ward, exactly. Knows the community. So actually, I just emailed my Ward 3 rep and want to have a coffee and because I get a lot of calls for, behavioral issues, mental health issues, social service issues. And these are all people, I read the description. I wish I'd have printed it out because I was highly impressed with the description of the job title that these people are qualified in. So I'm anxious to meet my...
Oh, yes, these are not just,
mine.
because they're there. These are people that bring skill sets and experience to the table, the likes of which...
the requirements that they needed, I was like, wow, and we found one for each ward. That's Anna Thomas, that's her... that's her push, and I'm very excited for this to start. I'm very excited for this to start.
And the police department is also fully on board with this?
Absolutely. I mean, these workers aren't going to get in dangerous situations.
And that's my question. We see what happens when
prepared.
police get into a tenderness situation. What happens when a helpful person gets into a dangerous situation?
Well, we have an automatic phone call to police. They're not going to get into that situation. I mean, they're prepared to assess. They've been in this business, so they know they know the flags that go up. So there's really no concern about that. They're bilingual, or some of them speak 3 or 4 different languages. Nepali, Hindi, English, Spanish, Yoruba, French, so Swahili. When I saw this list, I was like, wow.
It also speaks well for the city of Manchester, in my humble opinion, who is someone who likes diversity and who is happy to see the various cultures coming into the city. I know there are people out there that don't like that, but to my way of thinking, this is a wonderful thing, putting these people in positions of responsibility and leadership.
Correct.
Integrating them into our system of government, not just.
So it's ARPA funding. It's ARPA funding, so we have through December of 26. So come around 24, we could reevaluate it. How is it doing? Is it doing?
And
is
we'll
it
have
serving
data.
its purpose? Exactly. Is it serving its purpose? So this is an absolute no expense to the taxpayer. Federal money is your tax dollars. I get that. However,
Tax dollars we've already sent to Washington.
We've already sent to
We're
Washington.
getting
We're getting
them
it back, and we're going to put it in this program and see what we could save on police response times.
And I do want to point that out. Let's go, Brandon. This is money coming from the president's
Absolutely.
programs.
That's right.
To help bring the country back.
That's right. Same with the homelessness director. Her salary is fully funded by ARPA. So why not? In normal times, we would have never done this. You just don't want to invest the money because you don't know the
It's
result.
a gamble. It's a
That's
gamble.
right. So,
but is it really a gamble? This wasn't invented out of whole cloth here in Manchester.
No, right,
These are
right.
systems that have been tried in other areas where maybe they have better budgets, maybe they're smaller. I don't know what the circumstance might be.
Yeah.
But now we have an opportunity to invest in something like that, and presumably the results will be similar, and those will be positive.
yeah, San Francisco has a quasi. I was in San Francisco and San Diego a couple weeks ago, and San Francisco has a quasi program like this. San Francisco has a $13.7 billion a year budget. 13.7. New Hampshire's what, 8 point or 9.2 or whatever for 2 years. I was blown away, but.
Well, a million here, a million there. Next thing you know, you're talking real money, right?
I spoke to their homeless liaison to the council, and he told me that there's never an issue. I need $3 million for XYZ. The next month, they're voting to give me the $3 million.
Well, I've been to San Francisco too. Their homeless problem. If we think we have a homelessness problem, they have a very serious homelessness, a very serious and visible. And persistent homelessness problem. So I can understand that.
As does San Diego, as does LA.
As do a lot of places.
So, yeah, exactly.
There are needs for services. We have the income inequality issue in this country that's not getting any better.
Yeah.
So, we're going to say that's a big.
The public health and safety team is also going to add a senior. Somebody for senior services.
Yep, I understand
that. That's a lot of calls that I take. From issues with seniors, and a lot of it is social programs. Crotchet Mountain, going to visit them once a month, or
the help is available. They just can't make the connection,
or the families don't know where to go. I'm excited to meet with Louisa. Is my is Ward 3. I am just super psyched to meet with her and have a discussion. Because I take calls from seniors all over the city, actually. Also with people that are looking for social services, whether it's a single mom, single dads, So workers, people, workers looking for work, decent paying jobs. So this is I'm anxious. I'm anxious to get this going. Actually,
I want to tie this back again as a response to the uproar that took place over the past 2 years dealing with police violence. Now, I'm not saying we have a problem with police violence, but it never hurts to take a step back and look at the system.
Right.
And what I'm seeing is this is an improvement to what we had in the past.
Absolutely.
Or at least, the evidence will bear out or not, but it looks like it can be. It certainly looks like it. I'm optimistic about it.
Yeah.
Also, it will definitely reduce the load on the police department.
Right.
Those low-level
and-
issues will
yeah.
be taken care of
And
without
unnecessary
involvement.
conflicts. Unnecessary
The risk of
conflicts,
unnecessary
you know?
conflict, which will, it can only enhance the image of the police in the community.
Right. Right.
And I understand that the police are working in cooperation, which I think is a great thing. But I understand that it's not going to in any way impact the budget or amount of officers or anything like that. So, hear me out.
Yeah.
In theory, some of the workload will be decreased, and yet we're going to maintain what we have now. Let's talk in dollars for the budget. Does that mean that we're going to get an improvement in the services in the other areas?
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. As far as the budget, it's not going to reduce a police budget. But what it will do is it will increase the presence of police in areas where they need them. I get plenty of calls that, I called an officer on XYZ and it took an hour and a half to show up.
And that's the problem. It does. I mean,
so I'm anticipating, and time will tell, I'm anticipating that those response times will be more frequent.
and I'm also hoping that some of the cutoff on severity of the issue might drop down a little bit, because there are issues that are important to the people involved, but might not rise to the level of the police having time to deal
Right. I
with
mean,
it.
when you do a ride along with police, I did like an 11 o'clock to 7 in the morning, and it's really 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 of the same people. You're getting the calls every couple hours. People with mental health, people with substance use.
But that's what
and
this
it
team is
took-
designed to take care of.
Exactly. And all the times that we went there, you didn't really need a police there. What the officer did, that I was with, would call, like we have the mobile units now. We call the mobile unit. They come down and take care of the situation. But he's spending an hour or 2 hours there where he didn't need to.
He's more of a supervisor than a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, and none of them were really combative. So that wasn't the case where one of these would have. Actually, I just realized, I print this out. It looks like Ward 3 has 2 of them. Gabrielle and Louisa. Awesome.
Yeah,
gotta-
I'm a little jealous.
I got to contact the other one. Yeah, I say.
Well, I mean, this was a well thought out organization.
Right.
They
Right.
you utilize the assets you have. You don't send them home,
Absolutely.
right?
No, absolutely. And the fact that there are people that live in these wards.
Yep.
They're community people. But yeah, you got to look at the definition, the job description. I was like, you're kidding me. They had the requirements they had to have.
Well, it's a real thing. It's getting federal
Yeah,
money,
so it's
and,
not-
and people who think we just shovel money at unknown thing. No, it's vetted well. It's put together
Exactly.
well. Hey, it may not
Exactly.
work,
Yeah.
but at least it's not
Well,
going to work for
you know what,
failure of effort.
Personally, it is going to work. It's going to be better than what it is.
It has to
now.
be. I agree
It
with
has
you.
to be is right. So hopefully, and I know in Ward 3, in several other wards that I get calls from, this crew is going to be helpful. I mean, I get a ward from 10, 11, and 12. I could call these people and say, hey, I got an elderly that's being evicted because
Yep.
they want to increase
And
the
they're
rent.
right there.
And they're right there. What do we got?
And they're committed to go.
Right. So, I mean, I could certainly work with them. I know the avenues with which to get people to help, and that'll be so much relief off of me.
Well,
So-
I think it's the consensus that this is a good thing. We'll keep our eye on it, and
Exactly.
we'll report back as time goes on. Maybe try to get some of these folks in and talk to them about how the program's going after a couple months, see how
Right.
it's going, because that's what we do here on the Progress
You
Report.
got it. Yep.
I want to turn the next local thing that went on was we had a pretty busy Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting last night.
night, yeah.
We only got a couple minutes till our first break, so we're not going to get the whole BMA meeting in, but I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about the Pearl and Hartnett lot development. That's important to the city.
Right.
Tell, we're losing some parking, but what are we getting in
Yeah,
exchange?
actually, we're not really losing parking. We're keeping the same amount of parking.
No, there, I stand corrected.
So there'll be public parking. I mean, we get the snow emergency we're going to be concerned about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of houses that need a place to park when there's a snow emergency.
So that'll be available with
Correct,
these
yeah.
developments.
I mean, I know it seems with the public that it's taken a long time, but it's a lot of details to work out. I sat on that group that worked through the details, and it's a lot of details.
Good.
A lot of fine print coming through.
That's a good thing, though,
hoping-
because you don't get surprised after there's a big hole in the ground. You know
they're hoping, the affordable housing aspect of it is hard to understand. For a lot of the public, where they say, why don't we have 200 affordable housing? Well, you got to get the funding for that. Developers don't, okay, I'll put in $4 million of my own money. That's not the way it works. So we have NeighborWorks that they're working with. They get the tax credits, and that's how you got to do it. And you have to hire somebody who's knowledgeable in that because you will get burned. Bottom line. So, the parking is good. We're hoping by July 19th we're going to approve the master agreement and begin to work.
That's just about a month, less than a month away.
Yeah, July 19th is the next BMA meeting.
So how many total units between the two?
There's 500 and some odd, 545 or something. To that effect.
And how much is the
There's
the
40,
affordable?
There's 40 to 60, 60 AMI median income, and or 50% medium income. There's 80 workforce housing units, and the rest of the market rate. Yeah, but all the apartments will be the same. You won't tell which one is affordable housing, which one is not. I like that. Affordable housing tenants will be able to use the amenities, the club, the workout club. You're not going to know which.
They don't have to go in the back door.
Correct.
Yeah,
You don't
you
know
know.
what units are. You don't know what units are affordable and what are not.
That
'cause they're all the
is
same.
that is
They're all the
a
same
good way to
units.
build community. That is a good way to do it and to provide dignity, which is also important when you're helping people.
Well, I give the developer
families,
I give
you
the
know?
developer a pat on the back because he was asked the question, how are we going to know the affordable housing units? And he says, yeah, we're not going to know. These are people we're dealing with, not units. So somebody living, you're not going to know who's in the affordable housing and who's not. And they're going to be going to the gym, they're going to be going to the community room, they're going to be going to wherever. You're not going to know.
Well,
So, which is good.
that's a good philosophy to bring to the table.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that brought us to the point where we take our first break, and on a show like this, Pat, I think we need to take a little 10, 15-second
Okay.
break to regroup
Sure.
and see where we're going to go next. So, folks, you are not calling in to help us out with the show. I've had to do a lot of talking, and one thing about the Progress Report is you don't watch the show to see me talk. That's for darn sure. It's the guest that's important. So 603-640-3091 if you want to call in our next segment. And I think in our next segment, stay tuned because I am going to kind of break some news, local news that has literally global impact. And I know I engage in hyperbole, as the president would say, but no, this really does. Local news that has global impact right when we come back. All right, welcome back, folks. Thanks for waiting up for us. And my plea for a phone call worked. We have a caller calling in right now. Did I get that? Hello, caller. You're live on the Progress Report.
Hello.
Thanks for calling.
Hi there.
Is this Bob?
Hi.
Are you calling from the road, Bob?
I am.
How's your listening tour been going?
It's going great.
All right. Well, what's on your mind? Do you have a question or a comment for the Progress Report or our guest, Pat Long?
First, let me turn my sound so I don't confuse myself.
It's hard, isn't
I
it?
wanted to say I think you guys are doing a really excellent job with the program, and very interested to learn about your first subject coming up, and I can't wait to hear what you got coming up for the rest of it, Mike. But I think you guys are doing a great job. I was just going to add, when you talk about the homeless problem, I think, Mike, you've been in San Francisco or San Diego or maybe both. Well, I was just in Los Angeles, and I couldn't believe the number of homeless people on the streets, and not just the streets, but everywhere in Los Angeles. And we think we've got a problem. The problem is everywhere, and it's much bigger in these cities that have the nice climates, I must say. All year round, that is. We have a nice climate, but not year round. So thought I'd throw that in and congratulate you guys for doing a good show and bringing good information to people.
Well, trying to
And
hold
I'll
down
be
the
back
fort.
with you next week, Mike, and look forward to it.
That's
All right,
awesome, Bob.
You
There
take
you
care,
go.
Bob.
Stay safe out there,
Okay.
Bob. Thanks for
Yep.
the call.
Take care. I'm going to listen to the rest.
Awesome.
Hope you get some more calls.
All righty. Me
Bye.
too. Bye-bye now.
Yeah, actually, Los Angeles is under court order to clean up their homeless. They had till October to clean up any youth and any single parent with kids. That's the priority. And then secondly,
I mean, you say
Mental
clean
health.
up like it's taking out a bag of trash.
oh,
I mean,
they're building so far. There's over 4,000 units they're building to take the homeless off the streets.
this is the United States of America.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Should there not be a home for whoever needs a home?
No, absolutely.
That's what I wonder
Absolutely.
about when there are
Absolutely.
people that have several homes. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know we're not
it's-
supposed to talk about class warfare, but we got to start fighting back.
No, I agree. I agree. Everybody should get a home. I mean, people run into hard times. I get that, but for the grace of God, go I. So
And
you
a
know what?
lot of people,
Give 'em a
a
hand
lot of
up. Give 'em
people
a
are
hand up.
paycheck
We're
to
not-
paycheck. What's the percentage of people? A $400 hit, which could be a new tire for some people.
Right.
And that could throw you off, and you lose your job, and you're gone from.
That's right.
That
I hear those stories. All
not
the time.
in this country. I just don't understand it, which is why I come out and talk on TV and stuff.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
You know?
Yeah. No, you're doing
But
the right thing.
let's get back to we were talking about the BMA meeting. We talked about the development. A topic near and dear to my heart: Hallsville School.
Hallsville School,
I grew up right down the street from there. I used to walk by it. I went to OLPH, and there were us good Catholic boys and the heathens at Hallsville School, according to the nuns. I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? We grew up with those kids. I walked past that building. My best friend Mike Murphy's dad was a teacher there. Willie Shea, my God, he was there for decades. What's going to happen to that building? And what did the city do? What did the aldermen do last night?
Well, last night we just added that the Lands and Building Committee added that the public gym will stay. So that's a condition on your RFP. And we have through July 29th at 4 o'clock for all the RFPs to be in. So we'll see. Personally, I think the proposal from the Southern New Hampshire Services is going to be the best proposal with the less impact on the neighborhood. But we'll see. I'm suspecting we'll get. I was talking to one developer. He wants to put in 50 apartment units.
I think it would make a beautiful Hibernian
Which I
Hall
get.
myself,
Which I
but
get,
I'm
yeah.
I'm not holding my breath for
With
anything
a
like
gym.
that.
With a gym. Yeah.
Could start the Hibernian basketball league. But no, I'm very
so
hopeful.
that's-
I'm
yeah,
very hopeful
that's-
that asset, which is a beautiful building on beautiful grounds
It
in a
is.
beautiful location,
is.
centrally located with a lot of families around it, that could be a real community center. And I hope it's
Yeah, we'll
utilized
we'll
that
get
way.
some proposals. I'm sure we'll get some proposals, and then it'll be a decision that we have to make.
And then the next thing that I have on the list of what happened at the meeting, sadly, quite a few retirements being
Absolutely,
announced.
this is and retirements are tough. And, you got people that have been in there for decades and have all the industrial knowledge, and you're losing them. Kevin Shepard is one of them. Kevin Shepard is the easiest guy to work with, knows what you need, gets on it right away, understands that the aldermans are under pressure for various things, and works great with us. Kevin Shepard, God bless him for his years in the city of Manchester. I'm absolutely going to miss him. Then we have Leon Lafreniere, Planning and Community Development, a guy with industrial knowledge of planning and community development.
In this city.
Yeah,
in
the city of Manchester.
He knows where the sewers are. He knows where.
You got it. I mean, you ask him a question, he knows the answer.
Yeah.
So he's
and Leon, very even-tempered, very really
Yeah.
Leon's a good guy.
I mean,
He's a good guy.
a guy willing to go to meetings with me with neighborhoods. Coming to a meeting at 7:00 at night. I mean, just. And
that's
the
not a common
neighborhoods-
department head, is it?
No, exactly. So yeah, he's fantastic. We're gonna miss him. Then there's the HR director, Kathy. She's gonna be leaving also. And wait a minute, there was another one that I forgot about. Was why do I forget? Denise with the parking division.
Oh yeah, she's
got
been there a while.
40, I think it was 42 years that she has. Another one. You call with a parking issue, she knows it.
Well, I may have had a few issues that I might disagree with you on that.
Well,
one,
we all have. Yeah, we all have. We all have.
but certainly she treats everybody with respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
she knows,
very responsive.
She knows the issue. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's 4 people with industrial knowledge that are going to be leaving us, and they're going to be hard to fill.
And I'm going to jump out of turn because we're talking about people leaving, but on the county level, we see Dave Dion coming back to be the turnkey.
Yeah,
at,
what a great
at Valley Street.
Yeah,
huh?
that was absolutely fantastic. Dave is, Dave knows what direction he needs. He needs this, this Department of Correction, Hillsborough County Department of Correction.
Yeah,
to
he
go
had
in.
a tough job. I mean, I got to tell you, that's a tough place, and a lot of tough things
absolutely.
have happened over there.
Absolutely.
And it needs improvement. There's no doubt about
So
it.
the current superintendent, Scurry, was he's now supervising, which he's better suited for that,
Well,
and he likes that.
That's
more.
what he wanted to do,
You
from what I
need-
understand. He kind
exactly.
of got promoted out of his wheelhouse.
That was the next place for him to go. But Dave, it's good to see somebody back in there with direction, and Dave puts the hammer down. Here's what I want, and this is what we're going to work towards. Well, we don't like that. Yeah, I know, but this is what I want, and this is what we're going to work towards. And I have the full confidence in Dave. Full confidence. So
this is a
I'm grateful
temporary
that he
thing.
came back.
You're looking for a new superintendent on the
Absolutely.
county level,
Absolutely.
correct?
because he's retired right now, so he
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't want to
that's-
jeopardize his retirement, right? He's only allowed to work so many hours.
Well,
Good luck keeping track of that.
It's a dollar figure, at least as reported in the paper, and it's
Right, right.
it's rather generous.
Yeah,
it's more than Social Security allows. Let's put it that way.
He's worth every penny. He is worth every penny.
I've known the Dions a long, long time, so
Dave.
I'm not disputing
Dave is-
anything you say.
Yeah, Dave is. Thank God. That's a breath of fresh air.
All right.
What else did we have?
Now, I'm going to come back to the city. The contracts. Oh, wait, we got a phone call.
Okay.
Before talking about contracts, we're going to go to our favorite people, our viewers. Hello, caller. You're on the Progress Report. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. I'd just like to say, as far as the homeless goes in the West Coast, I worked as a nurse out there. They don't freeze to death. They don't slip on ice, and they don't brain bleed. It's a lot safer to be homeless out in Los Angeles than it is here. And as far as our homeless is concerned, as far as feeding them, why do we have Stark Park with 2 people from the north end of Manchester running this garden, and the garden going to waste when we could use it to help to feed our people? I don't understand where that money comes from. There's agriculture, and what they've done is that they've uprooted all the they've taken out a lot of trees and used a lot of money with agriculture, but it's not benefiting anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I
actually,
don't understand that.
yeah.
Okay, well that's a good question. We'll let Pat. We'll talk about that.
Sure.
What's going on? Thanks for the call.
So
Okay.
so at the county level, the UNH Corporate Extension has public gardens, and in those public gardens, a lot of the harvest is donated. We also have Fresh Start, which is ORIS, underneath the ORIS organization that have gardens, and they sell 2-for-1 type of for WIC people, for the New Horizons. So the money that's going into agriculture is being successful in helping those that need. If you have if you have a WIC card or a EPD, is that no? I'm drawing a blank on the name of that. But anyways, if you have one of those cards, they often sell. Actually, there's a fresh market right on Lake Ave. Where you could go. They have a 2-for-1. So you buy a pound of tomatoes, you get a second pound for free. So and it's been very, very successful for helping those that are in need of food.
And also, I mean, Bob commented, and when he called in on the homelessness issue, it's just a little milder in California
Right.
and in the South and out West. And as
It
she
is.
pointed out, you don't slip on the ice, you don't have brain bleeds, you don't,
Right.
you don't freeze to death
Right.
in the winter,
No,
or
absolutely.
have your propane heater,
Right.
Go up in your tent or something
Right,
like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, and it's and it's strange how I went to Tampa last year for the National Council of State Legislators. I walked. My hotel was on the Riverwalk. They have a beautiful Riverwalk, and I walked. Was a 10-minute walk to the conference, to the convention center, and I saw no homeless, no trash, no nothing. They had a group of downtown, the Public Works downtown division that cleaned up, right? So I stayed there for 2 days after the. I stayed there for it. It ended on Thursday. I left on Sunday. So Saturday, I'm walking the Riverwalk towards the convention because there was a couple of restaurants I wanted to try out, and homeless galore, trash all over the place. So it's not a fix moving people.
You have to solve the problem.
It's just not a fix. Exactly, you have to solve the problem. And what they found in other parts of the country is setting up these pellets that I had brought up before, or these tiny homes in like groups of 50. People take care of their own. They comment on their neighbor for throwing their beer can on the ground because I got these flowers growing in my little green space. And they've been very successful, very successful. So, like you say, everybody deserves a roof over their head. There are times, get a job, go to work on your 4th day when you can't find a shower to take a shower. Those are realities. Those are real
The
things.
interview's a little rough.
Exactly. I mean, walking to Burger King, not taking a shower for 4 days. Of course they're going to let you go.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of other innovations, room sharing.
Absolutely.
There's all kinds
Absolutely.
of things. Not every situation is going to take the same solution.
Yeah, there was
Not every 2 guys can share a room together.
No,
You know
that's
what I
right.
mean?
Absolutely. Well, there was a
it's
woman
not a
that
random
spoke
thing.
at yesterday's meeting, public participation. Miss Cochran, I believe her name was. I saw Shannon from the mayor's office go talk to her. My heart just went out to her. She's in a hotel room. Not sure her husband is. He goes into. What was it? Anyways, there's an issue. She has children who made the honor roll. living like they're living. Children making the honor roll, it is just blowing me away. And I know Shannon went up to her. I meant to call Shannon today to see what, let's find a spot for this woman. What is that issue where you, it's a brain issue where you could be out every now and then, and not shock, but
Is it like a narcolepsy or
no. What's that?
a seizures?
Seizures.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
So he
Yeah,
has seizures, which makes it difficult
he has
to drive
seizures
or to
and-
work
and-
or
right. So she's
anything.
getting
Yeah.
him medication, and she's anticipating that it'll be less. He'll have less seizures. She could go back to work. I mean, here's a woman that wants to work. You know what I mean? So it's not people that are saying, "Hey, I'm here, take care of me, will you please?" No, it's not that. It's give me a job. Let me help myself. I not only going, asking for stuff. You hear that that's what nobody wants to go anywhere. Well, when you're used to something, you become used to it. It's a habit. So anybody asking him for change, they're going to say, "No, I'm all set. I'm comfortable in this little."
I got this figured out.
I got this figured out. So, until they learn of the change and they're like, "Oh, thank God, I got a job. I got an apartment. I could go eat whenever I want to eat, and not at 4 I have to be at this place or 3 I have to be at this place." So, so we have to look at that. And in Manchester, Manchester's able to be on top of it. So it's not. In LA, I stayed in the finance district, a 5-star hotel. And when I went outside at like 6 in the morning, 6:30, I saw $5,000 suits with leather briefcases stepping over homeless people. And I'm like, when did this become okay to do? I'm going to work in the finance district on my $5,000 suit, stepping over homeless people. Every morning they hose the streets down. When was this okay? Who said, yeah, that's all right?
It snuck up on us, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I don't get it. So, so Manchester, we have to be on top
Let's
of it.
catch
and
it
we are.
before it gets to that
I
point,
mean,
right?
there were some people that came and put Shauna Green down, our homelessness director. They don't realize there's 52 people that have volunteered from Victory Park to go to transitional living, and 2 of them came back. And this has been, I believe, 5 or 6 months. Very successful. And
I've heard
that's
a lot
Shauna
of
Green.
people complaining about her, and I don't understand the basis of the complaint. I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, what it is, and I spoke to the mayor and Shauna and said, we need, July or August, you need to come and present because, the people need to know the successes that you're
We'd
having.
love to have her on the
that
show.
we're
I mean,
not-
we would love to help
and she
support that.
She is absolutely ready. She is absolutely ready to be on the show. Actually, that's a good point because I know Bob has been asking me forever to see if we can get
We'd
her.
love to.
She-
This
no,
is,
she
this
would be
is
good.
something that
She
has
would
been
be
an
good.
issue that we've paid attention to for 10 years.
She's 100 miles an hour, that
Yep.
girl, though, Mike. So she is
Get ready,
100
huh?
miles an hour.
That's
Bang.
good. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, we've come up. We've passed another 20 minutes. We're going to take a quick 10-second break, regroup, and then we'll be back for the next segment of the Progress Report. Ooh, I forgot to give my big news. It'll have to be in the next segment. All right, and we're back. Thank you for staying with us here on the Progress Report for June 22nd, Wednesday. And I got to make sure, I've been teasing it out. I've got some big news to break, some global impact local news. But we have another call, and I love our callers. Whoop, must have just lost it. Sorry about that, caller. If you'd like to call back, we will try to catch you. So we don't miss it. We'll get back to the contracts, and we'll end the show with the contracts. But
Okay.
this really is big news that I just discovered. And Brendan, if you could put up the picture that I sent in. This plant right here, native to New Hampshire, last seen in the 1930s, it has officially been declared extinct. The New Hampshire Natural Heritage Bureau said that this plant no longer exists. It was last seen in the 1930s, and it was the subject. It was very, very unique, because the only place in the world that this plant is known to grow, or was known to grow, was Rockrimmon Park in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Wow.
And since it became popular when it was kind of discovered that it was unique to Rockrimmon Park, and people began collecting it, and they believe that this collection process led to the extinction of this plant, smooth, slender crabgrass. And I got to tell you, when I read this story, I went out to my lawn just to see, is there any chance? Could I maybe have some of this smooth, slender crabgrass? But unfortunately,
What was it being used for?
it was collected just because it was unique. It was
Oh, okay.
people were pressing it between between pages of books.
Okay, yeah.
And they collected it to death. But since the 1930s, they've been searching the world over to try to find out if there was a similar or an identical plant anywhere else in the world. There were some very similar plant species found in Mexico and Venezuela. They gave hope that the grass existed in other parts of the world, but recent scientific studies determined those samples were not a match. Human-related activities are partially to blame, the report stated. Bill Nichols, a senior ecologist and state botanist with the National Natural Heritage Bureau, said botanists gathered a high number of smooth, slender crabgrass collections during the 30s, and that may have inadvertently contributed to its demise. More traceable impacts on its environment, including heavy recreational use, severe soil erosion on the summit, and competition from non-native crabgrasses. The Manchester Park has been a botanical hotspot for more than a century, with rare plant records dating back to the 1890s documenting 10 endangered or threatened plants, 5 of which no longer exist. Who knew?
Wow.
Rockrimmon Park in
Yeah.
Manchester, New Hampshire, is a hotbed of rare botanical samples.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that is amazing. I am
And
surprised.
one of them has gone extinct, and I don't care what you say, any extinction is global impact in my book.
Exactly.
So I wasn't lying when I teased out the story. So
Yeah,
I
no,
hope you had
that's a
some
great
fun
story.
with that.
That's a great story. That's a great story.
But let's get back to business, real things. City contracts.
Yep,
The
city contracts
works
went
with
through.
a lot of unions.
They were all ratified, and
They lay over one.
no, they were approved.
Oh, they were fully approved,
They were fully
okay.
approved. Yep. So all 13 contracts, 3, 4, and 4. They're 3-year contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them. The police had a 4-year, 3, 4, 4, and 3. So that's always they were happy. They were happy. I mean, no side is ever happy.
That's a good negotiation, right? That's the definition of a good negotiation.
Exactly.
So.
But they, the way it started, the employees were happy to get it through. So that's
Well, that
fantastic.
was the big lead in the union leader. The subtext is
Right.
we're spending more money. Yeah, we're paying people to do their jobs.
Yeah,
Can you
no,
believe
exactly.
that? What a horrible
Exactly.
idea.
Yeah, no, exactly. With inflation, of course it was going to be a 3, 4. It's we're not about to give them a 1 or 2. City workers are, suffer through the inflation also, right?
Well, and there's also a lot of efficiencies, and there's a lot of services needed. The city workers work very hard. They do provide fantastic service, but the roads still need to be fixed. That process was started years ago, not even close.
So I do have to say, there were a couple of refuse trucks I was on the west side looking at the proposed Mark Stebbins Community Center, and so I was stuck behind the truck in the alleyway. So he had about 6 or 7 houses to stop at. So I'm waiting behind him, and I'm seeing garbage going in their trucks, and I see spills, and I'm like, please tell me you're going to pick up these spills, because I am going to have to get out of my car and tell you, come on. I was in awe. They absolutely would bend over, pick up there were 2 guys loading up the toters and tipping it up.
Mm-hmm.
And they would pick up I'd called Kevin. I says, Kevin, I was blown away. You got to commend those 2
Yep.
people that were on this.
Doing their
this
job.
troop, doing
If
their
only
job.
Pinard would do the same.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it irritates me when I see that. It irritates
I'm always
me when
picking
I
up
see
cans, putting
Yep.
them in the bin for next week,
Yeah.
or worse yet, when they pick up the bag and the leaves fall through because it's every 2 weeks because we're cheap.
Yeah, it's waterlogged. You got it.
And it stays.
Yeah.
It's my problem now.
I got to put it in another bag.
So anyway, if only Pinard. There's nobody else out there? Is there nobody?
No.
Anyway, I won't give my opinion. So let's move on. There's a couple things on the national spotlight here, Pat, that maybe you'd want to talk about. I mean, we've certainly the January 6th committee hearings are really bigger than I thought they were going to be. To be honest with you, I know that they were hyped as they were going to be big and blockbusters and everybody was going to be watching, and I thought, well, yeah, that primetime one, that well produced, yeah, people would watch that, but I didn't think people would really be interested in the afternoon, and I'm thinking back, but all the Watergate hearings were in the afternoon.
Right.
I remember when I was a kid.
I remember watching them junior in high school.
Yeah,
73.
But PBS, back when it was barely alive, just coming out of the ground, decided they would re-air them in their entirety at night, so that people coming home from work could see them. And that was a major thing. And I'm seeing that a lot of other networks are, if not the whole hearings, putting on good chunks of the hearings after, the work hours.
Sure.
Which that's kind of an archaic saying to people still. I was almost going to say, Wednesday, half the week's over, and it's like, well, to most people, probably not, because they're doing gigs and
exactly.
I am an old white guy, aren't I?
Yeah.
What can I do about that?
Yeah, it's when you're with a bunch of friends and you say, "Hey, you guys want to go? Let's have breakfast tomorrow." And a couple of them say, "Well, I got to go to work." Oh, I forget you work. Yeah. I'm retired, right? But yeah, you forget.
Well, these January 6th hearings, they're being watched. Even Fox not broadcasting that first show, and they couldn't hold back the tide. That finger did not stop the leak in the dike.
Right.
And it seems to be moving public opinion. What's your thought about how they've presented?
I'm getting a sense of that. I am getting a sense of that. I mean, the bottom line is criminal. If there's criminal involvement, then there's got to be criminal charges. It doesn't matter who you are. It appears to me, and I lean a certain way. I get that, but criminal intent is criminal intent. And to let anybody get a wash is not.
And they really,
not good.
They didn't lead with a jab. They came right with that uppercut. They dealt with criminal intent and what was actually presented to the president with their first.
Well, I think the mega people were suckered into, number one, donating $250 million, and secondly, I think they were duped into showing up there. And now they're suffering the consequences. Those that got arrested, So
as an aside, do you think that's the same as the Colbert team and the dog puppet? They're the same thing, right? They're both insurrections.
Exactly. I mean, that's
sorry, I had
that's
to
how
do that.
that's how they get out of this. Try to get
Talk
out of
about
stuff,
whataboutism, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Holy
exactly.
cow!
But it's
what about that dog puppet?
Yeah. Although I saw a tweet with on Father's Day with it was from Donald Jr. if it's even him. It was Trump as a father teaching Biden as a 7-year-old riding a bike. I'm like,
Well, that's funny.
It was funny.
I like
had
that.
to show
That's
my
funny.
wife, hey, you got to check this out. This is perfect, right?
I can see that. I can see that. That's very funny. But I think that they've really been laser focused. They're not boring.
No. Right.
Which I find amazing that they're not boring. And the other thing that I find amazing is every one of the people testifying, they're all Republicans within Trump's inner circle. This is not a bunch of Democrats attacking him.
Right.
This is his people just saying this is what happened.
Right.
And that's amazing.
Well, you got one of them getting death threats. One of the congressmen.
Kinzinger.
Yeah,
His wife.
his wife. Yeah.
Getting sexualized
Yeah.
death threats. That's the thing. Hey, listen, lest ye forget history, the brown shirts were an important part of fascist rise to power.
Right.
Within the system. The
Right.
fascists were elected.
Yeah.
Don't forget, the fascists were elected. They did not overthrow their government. They seized it by being elected. And part of that is the intimidation factor. And we saw in the latest hearing how an entire crew of election workers don't work there anymore.
Exactly.
Because they're not going to do that. They don't
Exactly.
need to take that.
Exactly.
I've worked on elections. You've probably worked
I
on
have.
elections
Yep.
too.
Yeah,
That's
it's
hard work.
It is hard work.
grueling. It doesn't stop.
It is
It's
hard
like
work.
like you're trying to hold back a river.
And you have to have thick skin. You're knocking the wrong door.
Yep.
You're going to hear about it.
But I'm
Sorry.
talking the people that take the votes and count them.
No,
the ones
exactly.
that are staying up all overnight, lugging those boxes,
Yeah,
making sure they're
that's
sealed,
a lot of work.
checking their tallies against
That's a
what
lot
they're
of work.
supposed to have.
Yep.
And I don't know what you get $100 or something for it.
Right. Yeah.
Plus you have to go through the training, and it's not just that day.
Right.
These are trained people.
Yeah, I mean,
they're dedicated
it's a 12,
people.
13, 14-hour day.
So who do you think is going to replace those folks? MAGA. You're going to have.
Oh,
you're going to go. You're
for
going to
sure.
go to vote, and everybody's going to be wearing a red hat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, which is okay, by the way. Did that bill pass? I thought it did. You could wear
You can electioneer
Political-
in the polling
in
places.
the polling places. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if that passed, but there was a bill. It
Oh,
made it
boy.
through the House. I don't know if it made it through.
Well,
the
I
Senate.
mean, there was a bill that my representative Warden,
Mark Warden?
Mark, yeah, his address is in Hooksett. A business. He doesn't even put his home address down. This is New Hampshire, man. Where do you live? Are you really from Ward 8? What you represented me? And he violated his oath and sponsored and supported a bill to secede from the Union. That just by putting his name on that is evidence of a violation of his oath.
Right.
And in my mind, treason. What's different from him and Jefferson Davis?
Well, they're saying that we just wanted to bring it to the people, let them decide.
Really?
We didn't vote to secede. We just voted to bring it to the people.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, for one don't like it. I think
I hear you
patriotism
there.
means honoring your oath and staying part of the United States of America.
Exactly.
Well, I think, Pat, you have helped me make it through another hour of the Progress
That's
Report.
awesome. I'm glad.
I'm
Happy to-
very happy you were able to come on board.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on. We could talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got 1 minute. I got to do this. The gas tax holiday. When we wanted to raise the gas tax, I was supporting the Democrats who was saying that the gas tax has nothing to do with the price of gas, which it doesn't. But now that we have a price of gas that's a problem, the Democrats want to lower the gas tax. I do not understand that.
Right.
Either I was lying then or I'm lying now, and I put that on me. Someone's got to tell me what's the truth here.
Well, gas tax is tied into our highways. It's tied into a lot
Absolutely.
of work, and we're losing money because of the electric vehicles. I don't support charging them more to register. I mean, they're doing the right thing. You're going to add a $600 tab when they register their electric vehicles. I don't know. I mean, they are using a road. So we got to come up with something.
That's an issue. It
is
we
an
have to
issue.
come up with a new way of funding our highways.
Exactly.
Imagine that.
Exactly.
But I think we can do it. But anyway,
Yeah.
had to throw that in. Folks, thanks for putting up with us, or at least putting up with me today. I really appreciate everyone who watches the Progress Report. We come back week after week trying to put on a good show, do the best we can. Don't always succeed. Last week was a real wild one, though, wasn't it? But folks, Bob will be back next week. I think I'll be back with him. Yeah, I'll be back with him, and we will have another episode of the Progress Report in 1 week from today. Thanks for watching. See you next week.